I pursued things in my life because I knew what I wanted in life.
Yeah.
But I still had to fight to be courageous and confident. And even when I was doing it, still scared out my mind at times. If I be honest, even to this day, sometimes self-confidence and walking in courage is something that I still battle with from time to time. But again, a lot of people won't see it because all they see is the final outcome, but they don't have any clue. Behind closed doors, I'm like, I have to talk to myself like, you got this. What's up, family? This is Kevin M. Tucker. Welcome to the Core Podcast. And y'all already know how we do it around here. We go where it's real, honest, and we get straight to the point of what's been messing with your mind, your peace, your heart, really everything that stands in your way. But when I tell y'all that this is going to be a dynamic episode, and as you can already see, I have someone very special with me that is going to help me kick off season 2 of To The Core Podcast. She's dynamic, she's brilliant, beautiful, and also happens to know all my business. An amazing girlfriend and wife. Y'all, I need everybody to give it up for my wife, Katrina, who's joining me on the podcast. What's up, girl?
Hey.
Trina, how in the world are you feeling about being on the podcast?
I feel great. I guess the biggest question is, how do you feel about me being here and being on the other side of the chair?
I feel good, but I can't say that I'm not just a tad bit nervous. But I think it's going to be a great episode today. So what I want to do, Trina, I want to let the people know we want to go in because I want to prepare the audience because I'm typically the one asking the questions, but today that is not the case. I am stepping into the seat of the one that is going to be questioned today because Trina is going to be leading the conversation. So yeah, this might be the first time for many of you guys to kind of see Kev on a different side from what you typically see me. And the title of this particular episode is Confront Me. I think that's a powerful title for this episode. Confront Me. So Trina, here's the interesting thing about what we're discussing today, because I think what we're talking about today, a lot of people deal with, but may not be as honest to talk about it. It's the things in our lives that, you know, we need to address, but all of us, including myself, we know that can be difficult to address because life moves fast, responsibilities pile up, distractions show up, and before you know it, we keep pushing those things aside. The things that can be very destructive to our life if we don't deal with it. So I want everybody to lean into this conversation. And let me say this before we get started. Most people do not have a growth problem. They have a confrontation problem. Because the moment you confront the truth about your life, you can't pretend that it don't exist anymore. And I think that's the challenge for a lot of people. Now, before we jump into the conversation, let me ask you this question. I want to ask you something. I need you to think about this for a second. Have you ever known there was something in your life that you needed to deal with, but you kept pushing it aside? Not because you didn't see it, not even because you didn't feel it, but because confronting it meant you had to change something. Well, guess what? That's what this entire conversation is about today. So listen, I just want to kind of set the tone for the conversation. But Trina, I'm about to turn it all over to you right now, and I'm done.
All right, well, let's get going. So the first question I want to ask you, today's episode is titled Confront Me. What does that mean to you personally to confront Kevin? You know, that's a very good question, because when we were initially thinking through season 2 and how we wanted to start off, the first thing that came to mind was the man and the woman in the mirror. And so when I think about confront me personally, that means that I have to be willing to confront everything good, bad, beautiful, ugly in my life, even when it's comfortable or uncomfortable. And honestly, that has been the course of my journey from childhood up until present day. And the fact is, some cases have been easy, other cases it was very difficult. And then there's just some moments where you just like, man, I ain't got the energy for this. I really don't. And I think a lot of you guys probably can identify with what I'm saying, that you know there's areas in your life that you need to deal with or has probably been, you've been battling with or facing from childhood through different types of life experiences. So when I thought about this particular episode, Confront Me, that means
whatever you're dealing with, take everybody else out of the picture. I'm not confronting me for approval from somebody else. This is not where, hey, I'm confronting me and then I deflect on somebody else. What is it that you need to deal with right now that you can't blame anybody else for it? This is a personal, private moment. And I even go as far as Trina to say this. You could be frustrated and blame somebody for putting you in a situation that you didn't ask to be put in. But at some point along the journey, at what point are you going to deal with, okay, I didn't ask to be in this situation, but I still got to deal with the effects of, the emotions that come along with it. So it's my hope from this conversation that we can walk away with wisdom, strategy, and even just the courage to start saying, hey, I'm going to deal with some stuff for real.
All right, awesome. So as you stated, we all have dealt with challenges, some big, some small, some things we can get over easy, we could face easily. What would you say was one of the biggest challenges that Kevin has had to deal with about himself and face?
I think there's a few, honestly. Oh, goodness. Maybe y'all do want honesty, right? I don't think there's anybody that can say it's just one issue. But I think for me, there's been a few. And I think one of the ones that I've had to deal with, honestly, believe it or not, a lot of people wouldn't believe this is self-confidence. And the reason why that was such a struggle is because naturally I did good at certain things. But it was like some things I think I was naturally gifted at, whether you come to communication, speaking. But even with all of the gifts that I have, I still had to press through believing that I could do it, because for so many years as a child, I heard the opposite. You can't do it, or you're better than everybody else. You think you're better than everybody else because you're pursuing greater. So at one point in my life, I started retreating and kind of dumbing down to myself to not have to, because the last thing that I want to do is, oh, I'm better than everybody, because that just ain't who I am. But when you hear that from inside the house from a parent, then this is like, oh, this ain't good.
Yeah.
Plus I knew, unfortunately, I knew that the place where it was coming from wasn't a good place. It was just where my parent at that time was, my father really was in his own life, but it had a major effect on me as a son that either I'm going to do good or I just need to just do the bare minimum so I don't have to deal with the worst. And so what it did was it really put fear in my mind, fear in my heart. So I literally, as much as people saw, oh, you're doing this and I'm doing it because I pursued things in my life because I knew what I wanted in life.
Yeah.
But I still had to fight to be courageous and confident. And even when I was doing it, still scared out of my mind at times. It's so crazy because even today, if I be honest, even to this day, sometimes self-confidence and walking in courage is something that I still really have to battle with from time to time. But again, a lot of people won't see it because all they see is the final outcome of me being on the stage or me writing a book or me doing this, but they don't have any clue behind closed doors. I'm like, I have to talk to myself like, you got this. So that was one of the things that I think overall, and then we see why this one is so important, because this one affects every single area of your life. I think, guys, just so y'all know, 13 years coming up in just a couple of weeks for me and Trina. But when you talk about self-confidence, the crazy part about that was even leading up to the wedding, there was still doubts because I had just seen so much stuff and you wondering, do you even have the capacity or the courage to be a good husband, a good father? I mean, like, in my mind, I had to push and fight. Like, I don't know if this is even possible. Like, but then you have to realize you just have to trust God. And so I had to really rely back on my faith in God. But it's been a journey.
Getting to that point of working on your self-confidence, was there a breaking point, or was this a gradual, like, I recognize this in my life and I need to fix it?
I think it has been a journey over time. For me, in this, I don't think there's been necessarily a breaking point because I still always had that grit. I still had the desire to always do and to pursue things that was outside the box. But so I don't think it was a breaking point as so much as ongoing shift in my mindset. and just adjusting how I see myself and view myself and believe. The struggle though, Trina, is dealing with self-confidence. If you don't really deal with it, you can find yourself again retreating, and what you should be pursuing, you come to a stop like, okay, that's the best I can do. I can't do no more. I don't even want to have to deal with what's going to come after that. So in my life, I've seen there's been times where I get to a plateau and I just kind of find myself being safe and stuck while being safe. And that's a dangerous place to be, because more is available for us. But if we're just choosing to be safe and not realizing your safety is your place of being stuck, then you're going to find yourself self-sabotaging a lot of the things that you should have access to and you should be able to accomplish. So in my journey, I've had to really reframe how I see Kevin in order to take courageous steps that otherwise I probably wouldn't have done. And to this very day, I am still reframing how I see Kevin. And sometimes I have to get to a place of isolation. Now, when I say isolation, not separated from people, but there are moments where I need private time just by myself to kind of clear my mind when I'm trying to pursue the next move in my life, because I know what it takes for me. And I have to get to that place where I can talk to myself. In fact, in August, I went to a podcast conference, very first one, as I was prepping to even start a podcast, which so many people been asking me, when you gonna do a podcast? When you gonna do this? When you gonna write a next book? And things like that. Things that they think I should naturally do. But yeah, I know I'm naturally gifted, but I'm naturally nervous and scared at the same time. And I never forget, I literally have a 7-minute recording on my phone right now, where I was at Centennial Park in Atlanta, Georgia. And for 1 solid hour, I walked the park, recorded myself speaking to Kevin. And I said to myself, I'm gonna use this at some point. Maybe when I on stage and have to do an event, maybe people can hear an excerpt from it, because a lot of people struggle with that. But the truth of the matter is, I had to speak to my own spirit like, Kevin, you got this. I mean, literally, I just started talking to myself, calling out all the things that I might have been afraid of and the things that I know I have the ability to accomplish. I had to start speaking that out, but it was a 7-minute recording that I still got today.
Wow.
Literally walking in Centennial Park for 1 straight hour, because I knew for me, it takes that level of adjustment in my life. I have to talk to myself. I have to speak to myself for me to be able to overcome it.
So how do you feel, had you not confronted that issue of self-confidence, how would your life maybe have been different or been in another direction? Or how has it affected relationships in the past based on, not confronting that issue?
Looking at where I am today, had I not dealt with that issue and still deal with it, honestly, I can almost guarantee you, I probably would not be an author today. I wouldn't be speaking to thousands of people today. Probably wouldn't even be married today. There's a lot of stuff that I know what self-confidence, the role that it plays in my life, and the opposite of it is a lot of stuff, it wouldn't be what it is today.
Yeah.
And if it was, I can see where there could be some severe challenges of just navigating life because choosing not to deal with it and find ways to overcome that issue of self-confidence.
So if you had that young boy in front of you today and you were looking in that young Kevin in the mirror today, what advice would you give that young Kevin, knowing what you know about yourself today? What would you tell him?
I would tell the young Kevin, number one, stay focused on your purpose. I think so many people get lost in life through comparing themselves to other people, trying to compete with other people only because you don't know who you are. I would have told the young Kevin, listen, no matter what's happening around you, identify your purpose and stick to that.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with people who can pour into you, which that is one thing that I did. And I think the other thing I think the challenge, Trina, is when you're young, depending on what age. Like for me, who a lot of what I faced was so rooted in deep trauma that as a child, you still lack the wisdom to manage those situations and the understanding. So even the things that I would tell the young Kevin, I'm sitting here thinking like, would the young Kevin understand how to manage the moment as a child? Now, perhaps if we maybe look at maybe in the teenage years where we have a better understanding of who we are. So, as teenage years, you start to get a better understanding of who you are, kind of filling out what you like in life, what you don't like in life, what you want to pursue, who you want to become. I think those words will hold it will resonate with the younger Kevin back in the day. Like, even when you dealing with the trauma that I've experienced, hey, don't focus on that. Pray for the person that's created the trauma. But you stay focused right where you need to be. And so one thing it is, I think the other part is guarding your heart. I didn't know what that was growing up. But guarding your heart means even with the people that you love, you have to create a space where their words don't affect you in the way that they typically do when you don't know how to handle it and you're unwise and you just not aware of what's really happening. So I would have guarded my heart a lot more. And the stuff that was said to me, it wouldn't affect me in the way that it would have from years ago.
So a lot of times we as people, we have accountability partners, whether it be a gym partner, whether it be a spiritual accountability partner, somebody at work. How do you personally hold Kevin accountable?
Well, one of the things is, let's start with accountability partners first. So I have a few accountability partners. Now, these accountability partners are obviously people that you have to trust to tell you the truth.
Right.
Which, even when you don't want to hear it. So I know my sister is one, and she gonna be raw with me no matter what. And I love her, but she gonna call it flat out for what it is.
Right. And
honestly, my mom is also an accountability partner too. And when she comes with that word, and sometimes you just, the truth of the matter, you ain't want to hear the word all the time. But I think those two individuals, plus I have a best friend that's an accountability partner. What I'm blessed to have is people that are going to give me, number one, the word of God, because I'm still a man of faith. We people of faith. So they're going to give me the word. But even though I'm their friend or a family member, they're not just going to say, oh, well, Kevin, you right. They're going to approach it from the standpoint of, well, be honest about what's the whole scope of the situation. Because it's easy to have accountability partners and then their bias just to you, as opposed to understand the entire situation. And so there are moments. I have a couple other people, even at my workplace, somebody that's at my workplace that's an accountability partner. And I think what happens is there's a level to really have the best accountability partner or that relationship. There has to be vulnerability and transparency.
Yeah.
And so even through this podcast, and I think through my life, one thing that I've noticed is I haven't been, closed off of just saying, hey, I'm challenged. I'm struggling a lot. And so I think that helps out because it makes it easier for people to be willing to say, we need to fix that. There was a point in my life, this had to be maybe about 20 years ago. And I did the most unthinkable thing, the craziest thing. I don't know why I did it. And I said to myself, I don't even have the strength to do it again. And I literally reached out to about 7 to 8 people that I knew I could trust to be honest with. And I sent them an email. I know it's the Lord who led me to do it. But I sent them an email telling them, listen, I'm all about growth and just maturing and just being the best version of myself. But also making sure that I'm doing my best, the best that I can to steward my relationships well. So I asked all of them to be brutally honest. Tell me what you don't like about Kevin.
Wow.
Tell me what you do like. Tell me what you think I need to improve on that I may not be able to see. And I was able to get their honest opinion. But boy, when I tell you, the thought of waiting for emails to come through, I could have passed out. Because I think it's a natural thing that oftentimes you don't want, I won't say that you don't want to hear it for the sake of growing. It's just hard to hear the truth about the stuff that you need to work on, whether you realize you need to work on it or just totally unaware. And it's because a lot of times, I think it's human nature, we associate that with something negative about ourselves, whether as something that, hey, it may not feel good, but this is not necessarily a negative thing. It's just an opportunity to say, hey, you want to become the best version of yourself. Well, this needs to happen in your life. You might need to adjust here. Well, you know what? You might need to change that over here. When I tell you that was difficult, and even to this day, I'm telling you, I don't know that I could ever do that again. That takes a lot of courage.
How do you mentally prepare yourself for receiving those responses? Because I'm just thinking like, I'd be ready to fire shots back. Well, yeah, I'm this, but you dealing with like, how do you mentally prepare?
Let me tell you, those are natural. I think those are natural moments where you just automatically can find yourself defensive.
Yeah.
Because of what people say. But I think the thing that helped me was, before I did that, I had already meditated on that a lot. Mm-hmm. And I really sat with Kevin to figure out, okay, where do you want to take your life? And we talking about confronting me. What helped me with that, I was already confronting myself. Like, I know there's things I got to work on. Because let me tell you the trap, and I need everybody to hear me on this one. You have to be so careful that you don't fall into the trap of thinking that you don't have anything to work on because people are always celebrating you. And my journey, I've heard a lot of appreciations. I've heard a lot of celebrations. But to know Kevin knows that while that's good, it's not a significant part of my life. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I had to make sure, one of the things is making sure in the terms of being humble, not getting prideful, and not overlooking the realities of your life. I got to sit with me, and I have to first identify.
Yeah.
I think once I start recognizing and becoming self-aware and paying attention, then there's an expectation that, okay, they're going to probably say this. They're going to probably say this. They'll probably mention this. But this was my prayer. God, help me to receive the things that I know are good for me, but are not comfortable to hear.
Yeah, that's good.
That was my prayer, because I already knew naturally it was going to be difficult to hear. I think another thing that affects that level of difficulty is the fact that when you are always trying to do right, trying to do good for the right reasons. And so the last thing you want to hear is something that seems negative, and it seems like you done failed all over again. So for me, the challenge was, how do I navigate this without allowing myself to feel like I failed again?
Yeah.
Because if you're not careful, that feeling would take you into a state of depression. And so for that moment, I sat with Kevin and had already identified or became aware of a lot of the things that I know I could try my best to identify. Okay, Kev, you need to change this. You need to change how you speak to people, or you need to change your tone of voice in this, or you need to change how you do this. It could be a number of different things. And everything is not a major issue. Mm-hmm. I think that's another thing. It's not a major issue. Sometimes we can make it a major issue. And the final thing I would say with this is, what made it easy for me, I didn't make it about them. I made that about me.
Yeah.
And what I needed from them. So as much as I could say, well, you need to work on this, you need to work on that, you need to work on this part of your life, that moment wasn't about that. That moment was about, how can my tribe help me evolve to become a better person? Wow. And am I willing and ready to hear who they are? I will even say one more thing. I knew the people loved me. So as much as we might want to point the finger back at them, I thought to myself, why am I asking them if I'm not going to be open to hearing and deflecting back on them? This is all about me growing. Hence is why we come to this episode, Confront Me, which is that same strategy can help somebody today.
Wow, that's good. That takes a lot of emotional maturity to take a step like that.
It does.
So now we're going to head over to your book, The Core Lifestyle. Take the leap and win in challenging times.
Y'all, she went to the book.
So in the book, you said, take the leap and you will find inner resources to endure, strategize, and problem solve you never knew was there. What advice would you give someone to first, I guess, prepare themselves to take that leap and decide, look, I'm ready to confront myself? Like, what steps? What would be the first step to take? And then how would they follow through in that process of, look, I got to confront me. I got a few things I need to deal with. I'm ready to take the leap.
I think the first thing you have to do, honestly, before you can take the leap to confront anything, I think you got to put a name to it.
Yeah.
So often people are trying to fix parts of their lives and they fix this relationship or this particular situation, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in the workplace, you got to put a name to it. Until you put a name to it, it's like just going in a constant circle. You're just revolving. But putting a name to it is the first point of identification. For example, when you can say, you know what, I need to deal with my attitude. That's broad.
Yeah.
But then when I say, you know what, I need to deal with the anger when I'm in the heat of the moment and people rub me the wrong way. When you start identifying and putting a name to it, it's easier to overcome it and start confronting it. So the first thing I would tell anybody, whatever you're facing, put a name to that. And once you put a name to it, then you can start identifying, okay, what steps do I need to do to handle this? So if I now know the issue is truly anger, then one step may be, hey, maybe I need anger management. Maybe it may not be the extent of anger management as opposed to, okay, if I feel the conversation going that way, now that I just got to be more self-aware of my emotions in that moment.
Yeah.
And then maybe I just need to step away from the conversation for a second. So until you put a name to it, you won't realize what you need to identify. And I think once you start that strategy, you'll find yourself with the capability and the strength to do what you thought you didn't have the ability to do. Because now you're so aware that I didn't think you can rub me like that the wrong way. Everybody got a trigger, but it's easier for me to manage my emotions differently now. I think putting a name to it, being intentional about it, and understanding why you need to overcome this. There's a reason why you need to overcome this, because it's damaging your friendships. It's tarnishing your relationships. It's creating a wedge between the people that you love, between you and the people that you love. So also with that is like finding the purpose in why I really need to overcome this thing, because I don't want to lose the relationships that I have forged, especially those that you know have been healthy for you. And so you got to put a name to it.
So in wanting to deal with yourself, I know as a mother, sometimes you're caught in where the kids need this, the house needs this, the husband needs this, the work needs this, the church needs this, the business.
Everybody needs something.
How do you take the time to say, okay, I need to take time to work on me? How do you find space for that?
I think you have to be intentional about it and create that space. I mean, everybody's rhythm is different. Everybody's rhythm. I know for me personally, for my own peace of mind, I've always been like this. I have to have my private time. It's just not healthy for me to be consumed and never have time alone by myself. And you know, I would get my time on my day off to some extent.
Yeah.
I'll go to the beach. I may go to the beach and spend 3 or 4 hours on the beach just sitting down, maybe riding my bike. Even in those moments, those are my times to really sit with myself and just reflect. So I may find myself just praying. I may find myself just meditating. I may find myself in those moments just sitting back, thinking about life as a whole, the whole vision of my life, the whole state of the kids, you as the wife, and that just the whole everything. And it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
But I think those moments help me kind of remain balanced in my perspective, and also helps me to better navigate the difficulties and the ups and downs that comes along with just day-to-day life circumstances. So I have to have those private moments. Otherwise, it wouldn't be healthy. And this is why I strongly encourage, I mean, my mama taught us this years ago, that you got to get away.
Yeah.
I think the struggle that some people have is they don't get away. They won't get away because they're so attached, not realizing that the attachment is normal, but getting away has to be intentional so that you can have that time to say, to recover, to reset. For many people, it may not be, for some people, it may be a whole weekend vacation. It might be one day away, but it don't have to be a lot. For some, it might just be, hey, just give me 1 hour. I'm going into a whole nother environment.
Yeah.
That's totally different. But those moments for me, I use that time away to kind of reflect. In most cases, I'm using those times to just sit and reflect. And even like I said, when I went to the podcast conference, that whole 3 or 4 days away, was a moment to just reset on a lot of stuff. Hence the reason why I went to the park and just spent a whole hour. Because it takes, at least for me, it takes that.
Okay. So before we go into a little game of this or that, what quick advice or last words or whatever you want to give to your audience about, stepping into confronting the different challenges that they be dealing with that they've been holding off and saying, I'm not ready, or what would you give the audience?
One thing I would tell those of you that are listening and those of you that are watching it is confronting yourself is never easy. I think you have to become okay with not being perfect, number one, because none of us are perfect.
Right.
I don't care how great of a mother you are, how great of a father you are, how great of a husband, a wife, even working on a job. I don't care how great of a manager you are. No one is perfect. So that's the first thing. Because if you have the mindset that you don't have any issues to work on, you're already setting yourself up for self-sabotage and failure, or to make the road to evolution and growth much more difficult. So I would say to all of you, be okay with not being perfect. The second thing I would tell you is take time to study you. A lot of times we say we know ourselves.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, it's hard to really learn yourself when you're so busy focusing on life and everybody else and never take time.
Growing.
You're always growing.
Yeah.
Who we were 13 years ago is not who we are today.
Right.
And so, I think this is so important because you could be evolving and don't even realize the person around you is evolving. Or you may not even be as cognizant of your own behavioral changes if you don't take time to sit back and reflect. So I would tell everybody that's another key part is you have to be able to do that. You won't even realize what's going on. So you have to be able to create space where you can study yourself and study yourself and pay attention. Be more in the moment.
Yeah.
So if there's an argument, be more engaged in the moment to understand what your behavior is like, what your responses is like, what your tone of voice is like. You may have to even look at yourself. Do you hold yourself accountable to the same expectation that you hold your spouse or your children? If you're a manager in the workplace, are you holding yourself accountable to the same standards that you asking your employees? You really got to study you. And I think what happens is, this is what's going to happen. When you take time to study you, I think we're going to identify two things. We're going to see all the great things about ourselves that really are beneficial to others, that makes relationships great for those that we're connected to. But you're also going to find the things that this might be a challenge. This might not be good for the health of the relationship. And what'll happen is once you start studying you, guess what's going to happen? You're going to give other people grace.
Yeah.
You're going to really see the need to be more patient. Because think about how many people want other people to change when they want them to change. And then you realize, oh, shoot, I got stuff in my own life that ain't changed yet, or that I need to change per se. So I think it's small things that you can do that can make massive impact.
Yeah.
And these are just some of the few things that I think you can do.
All right. So because you're always on this side asking the questions, we want your audience to get to know you. So we're going to ask some little fun this or that questions. Now, I personally know some of these are going to be difficult to answer.
Oh.
Because you probably want to go for both. But,
So I have to pick one.
You can only choose one.
I can only choose one. Okay.
Wings or seafood?
Wings.
Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Early mornings or late nights?
Late nights.
Comedy or romance movie?
Romance.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Jesus. Give me chocolate.
All right. Gym workout or outdoor workout?
Gym.
Quiet night in or night on the town? Think long, you think wrong. Hurry up.
Quiet night in.
Quiet night in. Okay. Quiet reflection or talking things out?
Talking things out.
Okay. Well, that's it for this or that.
Now that you have done it, what they need to know is at least 3 or 4 of those were neck and neck. She made it difficult.
You don't get to reflect back on the questions. It's either this or it's that.
It is what it is. I'm going to skip it.
All right. It's back in your hands. Thank you for allowing me to do this part 1. It was so much fun.
Listen, Trina, I've enjoyed you for this conversation right here. for To The Core podcast. And so I think what I want everybody to walk away with from this conversation is that there's a need for you to grow and confront yourself. In order for you to become the best for your spouse, the best parent for your children, the best brother for your siblings, the best son for your parents, or whatever space you find yourself in, you gotta be willing to confront yourself. And more importantly is you wanna confront yourself so that you don't find yourself decaying and being stagnant in life. The challenge is a lot of times we can get so numb to growth because it's easier just to cope with the dysfunction in our own mind, the dysfunction in our own hearts, in our own lives. And it's just easy to say, I know I need to deal with that, but not right now. I'm not gonna touch it. What I'm challenging everybody to do is have the courage and the boldness to confront what you need to confront and do it step by step, little by little. Remember, the first thing you need to do is sit with yourself and you take time to reflect on all your relationships, to reflect on your mindset, and you start identifying and put a name to that thing that has had you stuck, had you walking in fear for all these years because you didn't want to confront it. It's okay to be uncomfortable. After discomfort comes freedom. That's our time. This has been Kev and Katrina today with To The Core podcast. We just kicked off season 2. Katrina, listen, you did it. That's a wrap, y'all.